Hey everybody, doing something a little different today, not doing a BMW thing, but doing a Jeep thing. So, good friend of mine has this Jeep, said he wanted to get, it's going to be at a camp, and so it's going to be sitting for a while, and he said how he could basically make it easier to maintain. And I said, hey, I know you like modern vehicles, why don't we do a fuel injection setup on it? So, what we're doing is, it's already got a good aftermarket intake, set up with a Holley 2-barrel flange. And so they got a Demon carburetor on it, which is working fine. But it's going to be sitting up at the camp for a while. And modern fuel injection seems to work a little better, hold up longer with old fuel in it. So we are going to be putting a sniper setup on it. So Holley makes a sniper system, which I really like. It's modern fuel injection, but fits on an old carbureted style intake manifold. And so I'm gonna walk you through a little bit of doing that. We are switching it to fuel injection, requires a much higher fuel pressure. So Holley also makes an in-tank high pressure fuel pump for the Jeeps. So we're gonna do that too. And yeah, got a little fuel gauge on it so we can see how much fuel pressure it has for diagnosis purposing. Gonna keep it kind of simple. Just found a fuel filter that it's a Wix part number, also crosses to Fram and a bunch of other brands. Just to keep it simple, keep it where parts are easy to find. Not going with a real big fuel line because this engine probably only makes, I don't know, 150 horsepower at most. Got to take the mechanical fuel pump off, got a little block off plate. And that's really about it. Going to use just some standard rubber hose rated for EFI fuel injection. Yeah, just keep it a simple setup, basic, easy to repair, easy to find parts for. Love the Holleys because they really do well. Everyone that I've installed has gone flawlessly for me. I mean, a few little issues, but nothing that was like crazy. I've used some other systems like who have I used? Edelbrock's EFI. I've used Fast EFI. I've used what is it? Fuel It, I think it is. Out of all those, the Holley has been just, they nailed it. Like, I mean, the years, the decades of fuel injection that they have designed and built really shows with the sniper systems. So this is just a little 2-barrel. They make a 4-barrel setup, they make a 1-barrel, they make a couple of different orientations, but since I already had the 2-barrel intake manifold, just decided to go with the 2-barrel. It already has a fuel pressure regulator built into the unit itself, so didn't even have to purchase one of those. I can go from the fuel pump to the fuel filter to the inlet side, and in this I just have to return it back to the tank and it'll take care of the fuel pressure. Also, it has the connectors to hook up the fuel pump directly to the EFI unit, so I don't even have to run a relay for the fuel pump. So that's nice from an installing standpoint. So yeah, gonna go ahead and start tearing it down and we'll do it to it. All right, y'all, so we got the old Demon off and we got the Holley Sniper just sitting in its place. Really simple. All I did was move the throttle bracket from the Demon over to the Sniper. That simple. Starting to run the fuel lines. So this is one of the fuel lines. I'm gonna utilize the factory metal fuel line. It should be able to handle the EFI fuel pressure, no problem. So I'm just gonna tie into that. I'm gonna put my fuel filter in the rear by the fuel pump. So it's should be fairly easily accessible. Trying to figure out what I'm gonna do on the return, because here's the return line, and the Jeep, the filter had some sort of return line on it, and that is the hose that was for that. So I'm gonna trace this back. If this goes back to the fuel tank, oh, that's gonna be so perfect. So all I'd have to do is just tie this into that, and it'll return the fuel back to the tank for me. So, and all it is, the fuel pump is a positive displacement pump with the fuel injection system, so it can create a lot of PSI. And the fuel injection, for the most part, doesn't use all of that fuel, so it has to return back to the fuel tank what it doesn't use. And this is the pressure regulator, so the fuel pressure comes from the fuel pump in the back of the tank, comes up through this line, goes into here, fills up the little reservoir that feeds the two. This has two fuel injectors, and then this is basically, it's a fuel pressure regulator. It blocks the flow of fuel off, which raises the fuel pressure on this side. I want to say the Holley is going to operate about, I want to say it was like 55 PSI. As soon as we turn the key on with fuel pressure, it'll pop up on this gauge and show us. Anyway, so this holds enough fuel back to generate that much fuel pressure, and then whenever it reaches that specified amount of pressure, it releases the rest of it back out here, and that's what I need to return back to the tank. So yeah, moving right along, looking good. And y'all, a little side note, you want to use fuel injection hose clamps. Okay, the regular like worm style clamp, like this right here, they're good for lower pressures. When you start getting up into the 55, 60, 70 PSI range, you want to use a hose clamp that's more dedicated for those higher pressures. And this is a fuel injection style hose clamp, so that's what I'm going to be using. Even though I'm keeping it simple, keeping it basic on this install, you still got to use the parts that are right for the job. So just a little note, use a fuel injection hose clamp or clamps. Okay, I just want to show y'all how easy the wiring is on these Holleys. So these wires right here are all connected to the EFI unit coming out the back side of it. They have wire for your O2 sensor, which is included in the kit. That you do have to put in the exhaust. Like, there's no way around that. You have to have either the band clamp style setup that they send, or that you can purchase, or be able to weld a bung in. But anyway, so this connector right here is the connector that goes to the little handheld pad. Let's see, I don't remember what this connector right here for. Temperature sensor. This goes to a temperature sensor, so that way the computer can know how warm the engine is. One of the parameters that's very important to operate the motor. Let's see, I believe it is this connector. Let's see. No. All right, so this connector right here, sorry about the camera, guys. I'm a one-man show at the moment. This connector right here plugs in. Real easy. Weather tight, maybe. I am right-handed. I'll plug it in, edit it later, make it look good. Anyway, no, I won't. You'll be able to see my struggle is real. Anyway, so you plug that into the harness, and everything is pretty labeled. So this one right here says fuel pump positive. They give me plenty of wire. I thought I was gonna have to get some wire, but they gave me plenty of wire. This will probably get all the way back to the fuel tank where I need it to go. You're gonna have positive and negative at the battery. And they like these to go directly to the battery, not some crazy location, especially the ground side. Like the positive side, I could probably run it to the solenoid right there because it goes directly to the battery. But the ground side, they really like it to go directly to the battery, just so that way a lot of the static interference, anything that can produce noise in the electrical system, like that ignition coil, by going straight to the battery, you eliminate a lot of that. Let's see what other wires we'll be utilizing here. Let's see, this one is to the coil. That just goes to my coil wire on the distributor, which is gonna be, look how easy that is, tack. So I'll plug that in right there, and that gives the EFI its signal for RPM, so it knows when the engine's running. This right here is if you have like an MSD box, but we're not running an MSD box. We're just running a good old HEI style system. And so yeah, this won't be utilized, not a big deal. And I want to say, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure this is gonna be our key on, the pink wire. Come here. I'll look in the wiring diagrams and make sure, but I'm pretty sure this is key on. So when you turn the key on, this needs to have 12 volts. And it can't be 12 volts and then switched off when you turn the key forward. Like it has to have, with the key on, this has to have 12 volts all the time. So, and that's it. Like that is the extent of the wiring. Now, this other connector, you can order the other side of it, and it gives you the ability to do like control nitrous solenoids, control fans, all kinds of cool features. Not really going to use it on this Jeep because we're not going drag racing with it or anything. But you do have that option, which is really, really cool. Like for the price, the Holleys are the thing. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to continue moving forward with this project. Just wanted y'all to see how relatively simple it is. I like it. All right, here's our coolant temp sensor. Plugs in. That easy. Perfect. All right, so the yellow wire, and I was right, guys, the pink wire is 12 volts switched. So when you turn that on, it'll turn the fuel injection on, and the fuel injection will be like primed up and looking for engine RPM. So anyway, the yellow wire does need to go to the tach. So I kind of ran it, kind of kept it sneaky, ran it back here. I want to try to keep it away from a bunch of your other wires that could cause radio interference. Radio interference can wreak havoc on the little EFI systems because they run off of electronics. So anyway, so kind of tried to route it away from all the other interference signals, try to keep it away from a lot of the spark plug wires. So made me just a little weather tight style connector, and on this particular unit, the blade underneath here just goes to tach input. So just keeping it simple, just gonna plug that in, and that'll give me my RPM signal for the fuel injection to see RPM. All right, so this is gonna be probably the more difficult part of this project. Gonna be dropping the fuel tank down to put the in-tank high pressure fuel pump. This is Jacob. He's giving me a hand. We got a transmission jack we're gonna use to hold the fuel tank up, and we can let it down at a slow pace. Ran our wire down for our fuel pump, this blue wire, so we're gonna run that to the back. But for now, we're gonna drop it down and swap it out. All right, so I got the fuel tank down. It was some bolts across the back, the fill hole, the fill tube, and a vent tube, and then some bolts across the front, and then I had some hoses that need to be disconnected. Now, I may be really lucky. I think one of these is going to be a return. I know one of these is a return, so I should be able to utilize one of these lines to return fuel from up front back to here without having to like drill a hole in the tank or anything. So, but next I'm going to take the sending unit out to see and make sure that our fuel pump will work and go from there. All right, so the original fuel pump had a return. The new fuel pump from Holley does not have a return. So fortunately it's a plastic tank, and I had ordered a bulkhead fitting and made my own return. So I'll be able to utilize the return hose that's on the Jeep, but I'll be using this as my return. So just wanted y'all to see that. So slight problem from Holley. Got the fuel pump in, but there's no way you're gonna get the sending unit in. I'm gonna see if taking these screws off will allow me to put the sending unit float in, pull it back up, and then reattach it. I'll let you know how it goes. All right, so that got it. I just took those screws out, took the sensor off, dropped everything down in, and then pulled it back up to this level, and then reattached the sensor. So yeah, it was interesting. All right, guys, for the O2 sensor, Holley sent us this nifty little plate that you drill a hole in your exhaust, make sure you don't have any blockage, and then you take these band clamps and clamp it onto the exhaust system. So that's how we're gonna run the O2 sensor, and O2 sensor just screws into that. All right, so all I have left to do is hook this up to a 12 volt key on source, but just for it's getting late and I want to hear this thing run today. So all I'm going to do is just put it on the positive terminal here, which is basically like me turning the key on. Alright. Alright. Come on, make good contact. Alright. Okay, and let's see. Yeah. Alright, so the original screen is this right here. I already went in and told it that what system it had. It's the 55. Jacob, what was it? 550-581? 550-851. And told it it was a 250 cubic inch Jeep. Well, 250 cubic inch 6-cylinder. And we're going to go to monitors, multi-gauges, and I'm just going to watch vitals for now. And that's all we have done. And let's see if it cranks. Jacob, go ahead and fire it up, or crank it up. Wow, that's impressive. See if we can idle that down a bit. Apparently we have some adjustments needed to be made in the idle control circuit. But that's okay. We got a running Jeep. That is awesome. Good job, Holly. It's already learning, already closed loop. Boom, baby. All right, so first test drive, initial impressions. Very smooth throttle transition. The idle is great, it doesn't die. And we have just driven it about a mile. It is a Jeep, for sure. So, that's my installation of a Holley EFI 2-barrel on a Jeep, and the results are amazing. I mean, it fires up, the EFI picks up, kicks on, brings the idle up. Driving is fantastic. I haven't done any of the fine tuning. You can hook up a laptop to it and do some like really detailed tuning stuff, but I'm just going to let the system learn. We haven't mounted the monitor yet. I'm going to let the owner decide where he wants to monitor. But initial impression is really, really good. Like I said, I really am impressed with the way the Holley sniper systems work. easy install. Just, they nailed it. So thank you for watching. Hope gives you any information you need.